Today literally has to be the best day to record this video because I had a very stressful day, a very stressful morning. Things are getting a lot better now, and we're going to talk about some of the things that I do to alleviate stress, to alleviate anxiety, health anxiety. And I just want to preface this by saying what works for me may not work for you. I tried tons of different things until I really found what worked best for me to alleviate those things. And I can tell you one of the best things is time and practice. So probably two of the best things when you find those things that work for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is journaling, and I have some of my journals set up over here. I have brand name journals, no name journals, blank journals, colorful ones. It doesn't really matter. The important part about journaling is that you find a journal in a system, in a thing to write about that works for you. I really like these Field Notes pocket journals for a couple of reasons. One, they're very thin, they fit virtually anywhere, so I can carry this with me. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm really stressed, feeling lots of anxiety, I can write things down about how I'm feeling to get the thoughts out of my head and onto a piece of paper. Some people have expressed to me in previous videos that they would be afraid to do that because what if somebody finds my journal and they start reading it and, what are people going to think about me then? Well, there's another approach you can do to that. You don't necessarily have to write the thoughts that are spewing out, that are causing you all this stress and getting you all excited and all worked up. You could write down quotes or positive affirmations. You could write a story. It literally could be anything. Another thing I like to do is keep a much larger journal. So this is my Lockbee. I forget which model number this is. It's relatively new. They actually sent it to me for my birthday, so I was pretty excited about that. But I keep a larger journal so I can get more detailed and descriptive, whereas these smaller journals that I carry in my pocket are more like quotes, interesting thoughts, doodles, or whatever. This gets a little bit more in-depth. So if you want something that can be a little bit more protective and you actually can write down more of your thoughts and experiences, maybe you put it in something like this that you don't travel with, so it's less likely that somebody's ever going to read that. But sometimes, depending on the type of stress or anxiety that you're dealing with, journaling may not cut it. I know, let's talk about panic attacks for just a second. When I feel a panic attack coming on, used to, I would get really nervous, really on edge. I felt like doom and gloom, like something really bad was going to happen. Now, I catch them coming on, and I know what's about to happen. And if I can catch it early enough on, what I have found that works best for me is to expel excess energy. So, for example, I had really bad health anxiety after my mother passed away of a heart attack unexpectedly in 2018. Had my first ever panic attack about 4 months later when everything kind of just hit me that it was real and I was working through that stage of grief. So I started having panic attacks that were in the form of a heart attack. And that was not good. I spent many, many months fearful that that same fate was going to happen to me. Until one day, I had enough of everything. I could tell the panic attack was coming on. It was very early on. I lived within 5 minutes of a nice little secluded walking trail. And I basically told myself, we're going to go out to that walking trail. And by we, I meant me and this panic. And we're going to run as hard and as fast as earthly possible. One of two things is going to happen. Either A, I really do have something physical going on and something bad is going to happen to me. Or B, nothing is going to happen and I'm going to realize that I'm stronger than this panic. Number two is what happened. So I kind of proved to myself that everything was going to be okay and that health anxiety, that big fear that I had, was not true at all. Now, it took a lot of courage to get to that point, and I don't even know if I'd necessarily call it courage. It was more frustration that led me to that point because I was just so tired of dealing with those feelings and emotions and the symptoms all the time. Today, what I do is I've learned that I wasn't really expelling enough energy. So one of the single greatest things I have ever done for myself is to start doing karate. Martial arts have helped me both physically and mentally more than anything else I've done in my entire life. I've been doing martial arts now for about 7 or 8 months or so. I actually just got my yellow belt about a month and a half ago, and I was so proud of myself. If I could suggest to you to try martial arts, it doesn't have to be karate. It could be aikido, it could be taekwondo, it could be kung fu. It doesn't matter. Try it. I promise you, this will bring you a lot of peace. If you don't want to do martial arts, you can hike, you can run, you can ride a bike, you can get on a boat, you can walk a dog, you can go and play at a splash pad. I don't know. You just got to do something physical. You got to get your body moving to get that energy out. And let me talk about the third thing that I think is really, really big, and it works well and plays with the other two. In fact, you could do the other two things in the element of the third thing. Sitting in the grass, walking barefoot in the grass, just being outside in general is a fantastic thing for your mental health. You could take your journal outside and write in it. You don't have to go to a park. It could be in your backyard. If you could go to a park or someplace that's kind of secluded where you can have your thoughts all to yourself, that's really good. But you could also practice martial arts. I do that sometimes, and people look at me kind of weird, and at first it was kind of awkward, but it's okay. So sometimes when I'm walking my dog, with my free hand, I'll be practicing like certain types of blocks. And I'm sure people wonder, we're going to stay away from that guy. I wonder what is wrong with him. But there's nothing wrong. I am practicing something that I enjoy in an element that I want to be in because I'm trying to do something better for myself. The three things that I said that work for me are things that I found out that work for me through trial and error and literally just trying it all. So the biggest advice I could give you is literally try it all until you find what works for you and you enjoy doing. Because the important thing here is that you got to be consistent with it and you got to keep doing it. Hopefully you got something out of today, and best of luck to you. See you in the next time.